Today we're going to talk about the 4 different clef signs in music. But before we get to that, you need to know a little bit about the musical alphabet. The musical alphabet ranges from A to G. And when you get to G, it starts over again with A. So you have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then you would keep going. A, B, C, so on and so forth. Another important thing to know before we talk about clef signs is how you look at the names of the lines and spaces on the staff. Whenever you talk about lines and spaces on the musical staff, you start from the bottom and go to the top. So for example, this would be the first space, the first line. This would be the second line, the third line, and so on. So let's talk about the treble clef first. The treble clef is also known as the G clef because of its similar shape to the letter G, and also the curly part of your symbol focuses around the second line, and that line is G above middle C. Now, using our knowledge of the musical alphabet, you can figure out the names of the rest of the lines and spaces. This second line here is G, so the very next space is going to be A. The very next line will be B, C, D, E, so on and so forth. You can also figure out the notes below G by thinking reverse alphabetically. So right before G comes the letter F, and right before F comes the letter E. And those are your notes of the treble clef. Next, we're going to talk about the bass clef. The bass clef is going to be the home of the lower notes that you'll play on your instrument. And it is also called the F clef because the majority of the symbol centers around the fourth line of the staff, and that line is going to be F below middle C. So similar to what we did with the treble clef, you can figure out the rest of the lines and spaces by thinking up alphabetically and down reverse alphabetically. So after F in the alphabet is G, so the very next space would be G. The next line would be A. And then going down, right before F comes the letter E. Before that is D, C, B, A, and G. So as you can see, we're going up the musical alphabet from bottom to top, and those are the names of the notes of your bass clef. Lastly, the alto clef and the tenor clef look identical. The symbol is exactly the same. You have 2 vertical lines, and then 2 backwards C shapes. The only difference is that they fall in different places on the staff. The alto clef, your symbol is going to revolve around the middle line here, your third line up. So your 2 backwards C's meet at this line, and that's how you know it's the alto clef. And that middle line is going to represent middle C in our musical alphabet. So you can do the same thing we did for treble and bass clef, and think up alphabetically to figure out the rest of the note names, and down reverse alphabetically to figure out the note names below middle C. So you have C, D, E, F, and so on and so forth. And then below that you have B, A, G, and so on. Now, like I said, the tenor clef is very similar to the alto clef. It's just moved up 1 line. You have the same 2 vertical lines, but your backwards C's here are going to meet on the 4th line instead of the 3rd line. So now this 4th line is going to be middle C, and everything up here is just shifting up by 1 line, or 1 space. So right above C you have D, E, and so on and so forth. And those are your 4 clef signs. These 4 clef signs are going to obviously tell you the names of your lines and spaces, and will be very important throughout our year as we continue to talk about music theory.